Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We are back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night. Man, I gave you a sneak peek at the guests. We're going to get to the guests in just a second. We're going to run through a few things, man. Good to be back, man. You can see I'm a little bit out of tune with how we do it. Just have to take 1 week off, man, but happy to be back after 1 week off, man. Shout out to the homie Antoine from DPR Cold Blood. I'm sure most of y'all have seen by now. He had a emergency last Thursday, so we're gonna get that scheduled for y'all, rescheduled for y'all, but definitely had to go take care of business, man. Make sure y'all send positive vibes his way, having the flood issues and stuff like that. Shout out to him for having such a positive disposition about the whole thing, man. So y'all make sure y'all show some love, send some positive vibes his way. We definitely gonna get back and have that rescheduled. But first things first, man, you got to take care of business, man. So shout out to the homie Antoine from DPR Cold Blood, man. Y'all go show some love for sure, for sure. Like I said, man, happy to be back, man. Shout out to my lovely wife, Takara, the world famous TJ the DJ, holding us down on the ones and twos. Really appreciate everything you do behind the scenes, showing us all the love you can show us, holding us down. So y'all make sure y'all show her love in the comments, man. Definitely. And don't stop there, man. Make sure y'all show the channel some love, show this video some love, show the show some love, the guest some love. Hit that like button, man. Make sure you leave a comment. If you're watching this later, definitely drop a comment. Let us know you came back and check it out. And definitely hit that subscribe button if you have not hit that subscribe button already. And make sure you smash that notification bell so you can get notifications every time we drop a video. And make sure you go out there and check us out on the audio podcast platforms. As you know, Clutch Conversations is available on all major podcast platforms. So there's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. So definitely go check us out there. When you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out, man. We really appreciate the feedback. We really appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you're involved in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you're out there supporting US Art and US Art Florida. The link for both organizations are in the description of this video. If you're not a member, definitely go grab your membership. Make sure you go out there, you donate, you support in any way that you can. Definitely need all the help. Those organizations help protect our rights as reptile keepers. Two separate organizations. There's US Art Florida, and then there's US Art. So definitely make sure, if you can, support both of those organizations. We're going to run to our sponsor video real quick, man. Shout out to the sponsors, man. Really appreciate your support. Y'all definitely make sure y'all show our sponsors some love. So we're going to kick the sponsor video.
Big dreams start in small towns. Small Town Xotics is a family-ran business that specializes in high-quality ball python morphs, western hognoses, and select leopard geckos. They are proud members of US Art Florida, and the Orient Society. Stay connected with Small Town Xotics on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Witness their journey as they grow their business and showcase their animals to the world. Thank you, Small Town Xotics, for sponsoring the show.
Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life.
Another shout out to the sponsors, man. Y'all make sure y'all going out there showing them support. Appreciate you, Shane. Appreciate you, Justin. Man, the chat going crazy. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. Early birds in the building. What's good, Eric, man? Appreciate the support, man. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate all the shares. Appreciate all the love. V Unit in the building. Speaking of V Unit, we got the journal himself. What's good, Milio? Thanks for coming through, man. Appreciate the support. Bosa Balls, what's good, bro? Bosa Reptiles, excuse me, but I'm still repping the Bosa Balls, man. Shout out to the homie, man. Y'all make sure y'all showing him support. Bosa is the soldier of support. He shows love to the entire community. So y'all make sure y'all go out there and you show him love too. Don, what's good? Thanks for coming out, fam. Man, Freddie, what's good? Thanks for coming out, man. Appreciate the support. 352 in the building. What's good, Brian? Thanks for coming out. Big Kevin, what's good, man? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate the support. Samario, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate the support. Hope to see you in Daytona, man. Really looking forward to it. North Star, what's good, man? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate the support. The big homie Ray, what's good, man? Appreciate the support, man. Y'all make sure y'all check Ray out tomorrow on the episode of My Favorite Reptile Podcast at 5 p.m. He got the homie Antoine, not Antoine from DPR Cold Blood, but Antoine from High Desert Pythons. Go check him out tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure y'all slide through, check it out. Pressure P, what's good, Justin? Thanks for coming out, fam. Appreciate the support. The big homie Keys, what's good, fam? Appreciate the support. Thanks for having me on the show last night. If you didn't see the show last night, Balls and Things, make sure you go check the replay. Make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment. I know y'all already subscribed, but if you like that one person on earth who not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Check out the homie Keys doing big things over there. And make sure y'all check out Hair Down Friday tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m., right after My Favorite Reptile Podcast. So show the love. What's good? Marino, what's good? Thanks for coming out, fam. Appreciate the support. We got the guest showing love in the chat. What's good, homie? Getting to you in just a second. Chad, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate the support. Chris from BNS Reptilia, what's good, fam? Appreciate the support. Jason, what's good? Musical Pythons in the building. What's good, bro? You going to the Orlando show, man? Hopefully we see you next weekend, man. Bosa, what's good? Thanks for coming out. Bosa Reptiles. We're going to stop it right there, man. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the support. We're going to keep the intro, and we're going to be right back.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up, spit this cool. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts.
Episode 74, Reagan, Renee, Royal Pythons. In the building, what's good, homie?
Oh man, I feel good. Between those sponsor spots, the intro song, all the shout outs in the chat, man, I'm like, I feel good.
Yeah. Set the tone, man. Set the tone, man. You got a lot of people in the building tonight, bro. The chat going crazy.
I'd see that, man. That's awesome. That's cool. I'm so grateful for everybody showing up. This is cool.
Yes, sir, man. How's the weather in Jersey?
Oh man, it's been hot. It's been humid, really.
Yeah.
It's been kind of crazy. Yeah, we've been 90s, high 90s, and humid. Like,
I mean, y'all sounding like Florida.
I know it's crazy. I keep talking to people from all over.
Is it this hot around this time of year, or is this kind of like uncharacteristically hot?
We get hot, but we might get like one stretch like this every year. But this has been pretty sustained, like 2-3 weeks now. But it's kind of slipping back to normal now.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up, man. How your season going?
It was off to a slow start. It's finally starting to come now, though. Finally starting to get to count some stuff up, tally some stuff up. So it's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of girls went really late. I don't know what drove that. I mean, they moved like 10 feet I think we sometime between last season and this season, we knocked the wall down and expanded across into the next room over. And so, I mean, females moved like 10 feet, but it's all still climate controlled. We keep the room. There's heat tape on the rack too, or the panels on the rack, but we keep the room ambient too. You know what I mean? It's pretty well controlled. So I don't know what drove it. I talked to a lot of people this year in their seasons that were going kind of late. So for whatever reason, it kicked off late, but we had a clutch drop 3 days ago. Next one's due here in another week, and then we got two coming up in in August, and probably two that are probably going to be around December, going by the ultrasound ovulations and stuff that's moving now. So starting to get some flow to it, which is exciting. It was a long stretch.
How many clutches are you expecting this season?
Now my number has changed a bit because everybody going so late. I thought we'd be somewhere between as many as 20 to 25. Wow. I might see closer to 15 at this rate. So, which is interesting. It's a step back. We were hitting, better than 80, almost 90% of females that I paired the 2 years prior to that went. And then this year, all of a sudden, it's not that they're not going. I guess it's just they're so much later, which it's amplified too because our season last year went very early here. Okay. So we were like in and out. I mean, our first clutch hatched in February. So, and we were done by July, I think, or August, our last clutch was hatching. So now for us to wait all the way till July again was a year of nothing. Like
you need a fix, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm pacing back and forth over here, like ultrasound the same girl 3 times in one night or something.
I missed it. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, man, it's just so addictive, man. Like I was saying last night, man, that's one of the things I like about it, right? Because you always looking forward to something. Like it's always something. But then when you have like that stretch, because I had a stretch like that at the beginning of the year where I didn't really have nothing because I had like my 2 latest clutches was like in December, right? So I had one hatch in December, and then I had like one left that I had to wait on in January. But that was like a one egg clutch that ended up going bad at the last minute anyway. And so then I had like that whole stretch before I had any clutches. And my first clutch pipped probably about getting close to a month ago now, right? And so like that was a good little stretch with like not a whole lot going on. So yeah, man, I need that fix, man. I was texting people, I need my fix. I need something to happen. But for me, like the clutches go late a lot. Like my girls tend to go late. So you say you were expected 20 to 25. Was that going to be like your record, or is that
would have been the most for us by a long shot? Yeah. If we hit 20, we did the year before that. I think we did 7, 8. So I mean, if we hit 21, it would have been triple. Like,
yeah, that's a big jump.
So that was the other thing that hurt when it started to be like kind of late, and we had such a nice stretch of we call beginner's luck, whatever, but. I mean, everything we would pair would turn around and go almost right away for like 2 years. So then they hit a patch of this. So then that got me juiced up. We invested really heavy, got like a bunch of like more powerful stuff, So then to go on like a year stretch, I was like, oh man, what did I do?
Nice.
It's good though. It's good.
So talk about those investments. That's a good segue into talking about the projects that you are like heavy into. So talk about the projects that you're heavy into, and talk about some of those investment animals and your thought process with those projects.
Okay. Biggest project that I would say I'm focusing on is kind of a combination of 2 projects that I really like, which was G-Stripe Clown and DG Clown. So nice. We kind of went heavy into, although I've kind of drifted a little bit into Krypton now, but we went really heavy into trying to set up for DGG Stripe Clown stuff. And that started. Okay. I started investing in that maybe 2 years ago now. And we're just getting to the point where these females are getting to size. We have a chance to hit some really nice stuff in that this year. But along the way, a couple of animals that I saw that I liked that were DGG Stripe animals, because I was kind of working that project as well. Like, I was kind of working 3 different double recessive projects, and the plan always to overlap, right? So some of the DGG stripe animals that I came across happened to be het cryptic as well. So I said, you know what, that'll still fit right in and give us a little more variety. Mm-hmm. So, now we're going to probably hit, like we have a chance this year to hit visual DGG stripe kryptons. stuff like that. So that's the biggest project that I've heavily invested into. The first project I started out in was Candy Pied. And then from there, we started dabble a little bit into some candy clown stuff that we started to set up for, and have some chances this year potentially to hit that. But I'm actually might change direction on that too a little bit and go into some more of the G-stripe clown stuff with sitting on some 50% candies in the background over that. So
nice. Yeah, I like the Kiki Clown project. Like I'm dabbling in it a little bit, not a ton, but I do like that project. I think it's a good bit to be done with that project. What are your thoughts in that? Well, first of all, let's back up. So how did you get into that project, right? So and what I mean by that is, like, did you build your own double heads, or did you pick up double heads, or did you pick up like visual heads, double visuals? Like, how did you get into it?
Great question. So I initially got into it because I started to build out a nice base of clown stuff, because it just seemed to be one, I do like clowns. And then also it seemed to be a good investment to have a nice base of clown females and stuff in the rack. You can kind of, every recessive that comes out now, you start to immediately see people try to see what it'll do with clown, right? So yeah, I started to build that foundation out. And then G-stripe really just caught my eye. It's so the stripe is just so attractive to me. It's so clean, like it just pops for me. But it has limitations, right? So then when I saw the G-stripe clowns and how it still has a stripe, like a semblance of a stripe to it, but it's broken. It has some of what I like about the clown, like almost call them like the paint drips that go on like clowns. Yeah, it still has that. So I was like, this is cool. Like, it's just something that personally I just was like, this is cool. And then I saw the traction the project was getting when Justin starts coming out with G-stripe clowns. You got Dale has done some nice stuff in it down there in Florida, right? A couple of people that I kind of looked up to in the industry started coming out with some stuff that really, like Garrick DeMeyer, man, he hit I think there were Kryptons, but still, no, he had some G-stripe clown stuff too that I thought was really cool. So, that's kind of what got me started down that path. And then, like I said, there's a lot of overlap. You could see Justin was coming out last year, right, with DG G-stripe clown stuff. Yeah. Right. And so it was kind of one of the first. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but one of the first triples I really saw a couple of that were being out there bred consistently and stuff was hitting the market for. And that was another part of the investment aspect for me, looking at from when I started, when it was like everybody's doing all these combos of single recessives, and then the doubles started hitting. Everybody said, "Oh, doubles are the future." And now all of a sudden, doubles became overnight started to look commonplace. When I started to see that transition of like doubles are the future, I said, "Can I, try to shoot past that?" So I started trying to gear in the whole collection aimed at triples, knowing that I'm not realistically going to hit those for a couple of years, but if I can make really nice doubles along the way, start to work my incomplete dominance and stuff, dominant traits into those, just seemed like a good way to go, to kind of try to not like skip steps, but try to like end round to where I think the market's going to be, instead of just. And now I've heard a lot of people say too, focus on doing really nice doubles first and stuff like that. That might be sound advice. I don't want to say that's wrong, but for me, I just started looking at, can I try to project out past that to where I think the market's going to land, and try to, I'll never catch up to many people in the market, but you know what I mean? Can I, in a sense, at least in my one little project, in my little space, can I do some catch up work? So
yeah, I think I'm probably like one season away from catching up to Justin from Canova.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I didn't want to get arrogant or anything, but I don't think I'm not too far.
Not to keep my own horn here, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, so to answer your question though, so where did I start? So initially what I did was I did pick up some double het girls that I could start getting some size on in the G-stripe clown, right? And then I also picked up visual on each side that had some dominant traits that I wanted to see, and started making my own heads. So this year, all the double het girls that I picked up along the way will go. And then next year, I'll be into some of the stuff that I made the year prior that have like a little more combinations to them and stuff should go. Followed by what I'll hit this, what we've started to make tail end of last year and into this year are like single recessive with a het, or single recessive with two hets. Those should go the year after. And then, I guess we're looking like 4 years. I'm on like the 4, 5, 10-year plan. But you're looking 4 years out. I should have stuff. I have a couple chances this year. Some doubles that'll be sitting with a het, or even a double with two hets.
Oh, that's nice.
So it won't be a lot, but a couple. So here in 3 years, then they'll be, so just kind of each year it's going to hit incrementally better, right? With one more visual recessive where the head's been swapped out. It's kind of the step. I don't know how else to do it, but aside from invest even a lot more than I did.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's a balance, right? So it's the resources you got available. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are your goals? Like, what projects are you working towards? And like, how do you balance that out? Like, you try to get ahead, or at least this is how I start doing it. Like, for what I could like purchase to bring in to like start projects and whatnot, and like progress it forward that way. I just start where I can and try to get as best animals as I can in that project, and then just start building on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, like we joked about like being close to Justin, but even Justin, it didn't happen for him overnight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, it seems like that now. Like every weekend is every week is a new like super crazy combo. You're like, wow. But it wasn't an overnight process, and he'll tell you that himself. Like,
Absolutely.
just building on it. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's fun. That's another thing that's fun about it too. Is like, it's like thinking through like those long-term projects and working your way towards it. And so it's cool. And then you touched on something too, like just thinking about the future. Like, I feel like I'm always like thinking like 2-3 years or more down the road. Like, this season's done. Like, waiting to see how everything is not done in terms of like clutches hitting the ground, but as far as like who's going to be ready to go, what pairings I did, all that kind of good stuff. Like, I'm pretty much through that, and now I'm just waiting on like the fruits of the labor, so to speak.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
as far as like planning and stuff like that, like I'm in next year, I'm in the year after that. So yeah, it's fun, man. It definitely keeps your mind going.
For sure.
Definitely keeps your mind going, man. So how did you sell your clutches in the previous? So how many seasons have you had so far?
This will be basically I have 2.5. We did 1 year where we had like just 2 clutches. So how did we sell them in the past?
Yeah,
we've been fortunate, and a combination of fortunate with the timing of the market and size, the number of clutches that we had. We've sold pretty much almost everything through Morph Market.
Okay.
And then just a handful of other things that have been off like people kind of in the network, people that I've come to talk to, whether they're Jersey and PA. There's a decent group up in the kind of the Northeast here of people that stay in communication and look out for each other and stuff like that. So we've had just a handful of things that went into that group too. So
Gotcha. So I noticed on your Morph Market, like you said, your goal is like to deliver the perfect animal with top-notch customer service. So what does top-notch customer service look like for you in the reptile industry?
So I'm like I don't think it's anything that can't be replicated. It's not anything that other people aren't doing out there. But just, I mean, I kind of go over and above. Even sometimes you get that feeling you could tell almost from the first message. And sometimes I'll even call it to like a very, very close friend. I'll be like, this doesn't pan out. You know what I mean? Or I'll even show it to my wife and be like, this one doesn't, like I try to predict. I'll be like, this one doesn't end in a sale. Sometimes I could tell right off. Sometimes I'm wrong about that. But no matter what, I try to approach it the way I'd want to be talked to, the way I'd want to be treated. I try to be patient with people. I go above and beyond. If they want another picture, I take another picture. I almost never, draw a line where I say I'm cutting this guy off. He asked for too many pictures. I'm gonna tell him to just go like pack it up, pound saying like you're not getting the animal. I'm like, whatever. If one more picture makes you feel comfortable, if one more like, if I can dig up another picture of when they were locked or whatever for the clutch, like so you can see the genetics. I can ask you, I can say, hey, talk to these people. They know me, whatever it is. I just really just be patient and try to work through making, a comfort level with everybody. And I mean, I've gone ahead and added different payment streams for people. I'm like, well, no, I'm not on Zelle, but sure, if it makes it easier for you to pay, I'll go set up Zelle. Like whatever gets it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what led to you kind of operating under that philosophy? Do you have customer service experience like before, or is it just something you kind of developed like naturally because of like maybe how you wanted to be treated? Like, what led to that? Can you speak to it?
Yeah, I have I got a lot of kind of business experience like that, but very little on like the customer facing, side. So I can't really say that it's from that. I could say that I know what my buying experience was like coming in, especially in the seller's market. There was COVID times when I came in. to where, you know, I know stuff that would turn me off and stuff that people would just like, sellers would ghost you. I'm like, do they not want to sell this animal? Like, what is going on? Like, so it was just stuff I swore I'd never do. And I just kind of promised myself, like, I'm going to try to be patient, take my time with people and just treat them like I'd want to be treated. So I guess that's all it really comes down to is, like I said, I really don't have much on the client side. I feel like I'm a really bad salesman at the end of the day. I'll very quickly talk somebody out of like, if this doesn't fit for your project, it doesn't make sense. My idea of like, I see people out posting their animals every day on Instagram, and I almost like envy that hustle, like the confidence to do that. Me, I'm like, man, I don't want to be like pushing my animals on people. Like it's a sales business. Like I have to push them, but I'm like,
yeah,
I don't want to post another animal for sale. Like I'll put them in my story. You'll see me do it from time to time. I'm not saying I don't, but that's me like talking myself up to it too. I'm like, just post it. You know what I mean? So everybody's out there pushing their animals. That's what it's about. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm unfollowing this guy. I don't want to see him pushing his animal again. But I get in my head like that. When my idea of selling animals too is like, I have something available. If I'm in like a group with people, some of the guys I was talking about earlier in the local chat might be able to attest to it. I'll be like, hey, I have these available. And then I'm like, I'll leave it alone. And then I'm like, yeah, I know nobody wants them. So anyway, and then we'll start talking about something else. I don't really push. Like I have a hard time like pushing animals on people and stuff like that. So I don't know. I got to tighten on that side of things. I actually feel like I have a lot of tightening up to do. I'm not the best guest to ask about the sales side.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wish I was a better salesman, not just solely because all I want to do is like just push off animals. I want it to be a good experience. I want it to be a good customer experience because I value when I have like a good customer experience. But I know like selling is a part of this business. Like you want to sell some animals, and I can definitely get better at that. Hopefully we'll be doing some shows. Well, not hopefully, we're definitely doing some shows next year. Have you vended any shows yet?
I'm not vended any shows. No, we never really have the inventory between the clutch size and stuff. Typically moving pretty fast. I've sat on a couple of animals the last couple of months, but it wasn't enough that if I wanted to turn around and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to vend a show to try to move these last few animals, I wouldn't have had anything on the table. I've been sitting on maybe like 8 animals left as far as inventory goes. So,
gotcha. Are you planning on vending shows like in the future?
I don't, I'm starting to hesitate to say like never on things because there's a lot of stuff I said I wasn't going to do that I wind up getting to a point where I'm going to do. There was size limits I had put on myself early on. There was not breeding rodents I had said early on. And every one of those things at some point I expand out and go, this makes sense now. So I'm not going to say never, but it's currently not in the plan.
So speaking of rodents, at what point did you start breeding the rodents and what kind of drove you to your breaking point?
Tail end of last season, or the tail end of last year, kind of coming into the fall. Just for hatchlings, it was just the amount of feedings for hatchlings, and hatchlings primarily eating live. So I used to do a lot of frozen, and I didn't mind doing that when animals move so quickly. Like I said, during COVID and stuff like that, I wasn't worried about paying the extra, and you were getting good prices for everything. I wasn't worried about paying the extra to buy rodents, right? So they moved really quick. Then you get those hatchlings and you're kind of feeding them the first couple meals live at least, right? So I was making drives, to get live rodents regularly. That got to be just kind of time consuming, and just was ability to steal some time for the family back by just setting up a couple little colonies of ASF just to have the hoppers for the hatchlings. And then the ASF, it's like, it just started to take off for me. Like they were producing well. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. They don't have a really strong, until you get a lot of them or until it gets really humid like it is now, there's not a strong odor. So everybody here in the house was kind of like, this isn't so bad. And we just started making more and more. And now we're like feeding the whole collection unless something's up for sale. If it's listed and says that it's on rats, then I'm still bringing in some frozen rats and stuff like that I'm feeding those. Or there's a guy locally I can pick up a handful from. But I got to the point where we're feeding almost everything in-house from our own stuff. And then recently I was like accidentally kind of overproduced, trying to set the pipeline to establish like the right amounts to have growing up to get all the right sizes I needed. And almost everything in our collection now is adults. So they're eating like full size ASF. So they have the right amount in the pipeline. I woke up one day and said, I have like 400 extra rats here. Now what? So, and that's no joke, like literally like 400 extra rats, ASF, and was like, all right, I got to find some friends who need some ASF. So.
Yeah. It's hard to get that math right, or at least for me. This is only like I think it's the second year that we're breeding ASFs, and we just kind of been like building, like adding more and more colonies like as we go. And so we're still like very much learning the ropes and getting that math right in terms of like what you're gonna need and getting the timing right. That's definitely challenging, because like I know one thing that challenges me is like, I want to have enough to feed everybody who's eating right now. But one of the things going on right now is like, I got so many girls that's close to laying. Like I got so many girls that's off food, and most of them are like my best eaters. And then like I got a couple males off food. And so like I got a lot of snakes that's not eating right now because of the breeding process. And so like that's causing ASFs to kind of pile up. And then I just naturally take like a week off every month, just to kind of give them an opportunity for like the system to kind of like flush and stuff like that. And so every time after that week, that's kind of like some more that pile up. And so like I got quite a bit right now too. And yeah, I'm overrun. So if you local and you need some ASFs, holla at your boy.
I'm the same way. I'm like, that kind of got me too. Exactly. You had to go from these girls that are building and they're like just slamming food, and then all of a sudden a couple of them start to go off at the same time. That was a part of what got me as well. Like all of a sudden they all went off, and I'm like, oh, now what? Now I got all these extra, and I don't have all your snakes that you would throw them to, right? When somebody else doesn't eat, you're like, oh, I'll give it to. They're all like sitting about to lay too. So I'm like, all right, nobody wants to eat.
Yeah. So the math is tricky, right? And the opposite side of that equation, like if you're gonna feed like your hatchlings and stuff ASFs, then you still got to have like a whole bunch of production, because you got to have enough to feed them. And so you got to have like enough to feed like your hatchlings, like ASFs a specific size, and then you got to have them for like the adults and stuff. So it's
past that,
it's like you gotta plan it right. I mean, I'm sure no one hits it like 100%, but I'm sure people better than me. Like I'm overrun right now. I'm gonna be trying to move some, or I'm gonna just have to like euthanize them and freeze them.
Understood. Yeah, just hang on to them.
Yeah, but I like the ASFs. So comparing like the ASFs, and I'm assuming you were feeding mostly Norwegians before, like which do you like better as a feeder? I know obviously you breed the ASFs now, but do you notice a difference?
I don't know if it's in my head. I think that all the animals grew faster this year than they did on me last year. And I'm on ASFs this year, not last year. I don't know if feeding schedules with the hatchings and stuff, if I did something better. I wouldn't say anything better. I tend to think, I know that there was something that came out recently to say that there's not really supposedly like a nutritional difference, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like hatchlings got much bigger, much faster for me this year. I have stuff that I'm looking at in the rack going, you were born last year, and I don't power feed. I'm once a week at most. And I'm looking at girls that hatched this time last year that are like 800-900 grams. I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not power feeding. I'm not doing anything special like at all. So
yeah, you're not the only person. Say again.
I'm pretty happy with the ASF.
Me too, man. I'm team ASF all the way. And you're not the only person to say that. Like I've heard a bunch of different people say that. And it's also like what I experienced. Like I got some snakes that like they were born last year and they got like some nice, like good weight, not like squishy, but like they feel solid, they feel good. And I'm not power feeding either. I'm like feeding just like I was before. And like I said, I even take a week off just to give like an opportunity for like systems to flush, all that good stuff. And still, man, they're growing like crazy. And I'm like, man, it's like for me, the only thing that changed were the ASFs. And so like I gotta lean towards that it was the ASFs. So yeah.
I feed kind of like honestly small too, like compared to what I see other people feed their animals, like how big it'll like put a bump on them and stuff like that. I constantly look at mine and go, man, I probably am feeding too small, and yet all my stuff is growing fast. So
yeah, I feel like pound for pound, like I don't know, like I'm not I haven't done any like scientific studies and I can't prove it, but like I feel like pound for pound, like the ASFs like just give them a bunch of good nutrition, more so than Norwegians. I'm not knocking Norwegians because I still feed Norwegians and I still always will, but like just my personal experiences with the ASFs just being like a better overall experience.
Yep.
Man, let's talk about learning curve. So you hadn't been in it that long. So talk about some things that maybe there's a steep learning curve, or is there some hard lessons you learned at first? Like, is there anything that like particularly challenged you at first?
No, I don't know if it's beginner's luck or it's from work that I kind of we put in, and I say we, I'm referring to because my family was very much involved in the startup of this with me, my wife and my daughter both. Man, we studied coming into this, and I'm kind of just really believe in lifelong learning. Really believe I tend to have like kind of obsessive, like addictive personality anyway. So I tend to really like dive into things. So I was reading, watching, asking questions, like everything that I could to try to set us up for success. And I feel like somewhere between beginner's luck and that type of level of studying and dedication that we put in, something worked, because we really knock on wood, right? We really had a really kind of easy startup and flow into things. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. So, as far as like the early preparation, was there like any particular like breeder or content creator that you really like just followed their stuff, or was it just kind of like a whole bunch of different folks?
Yeah, I'm spoiled by coming into this at a time where you had, I know people like take shots on or whatever, but you had, as far as like the morph videos, you had Hardwick putting out a video every single day, going through Morph Market on every little combo. If it was like Clown, every combo he could find on Clown. You had Billy putting out a video every single day, cutting clutches, IDing clutches, talking about odds, because him and Austin will just rattle off, 1 in 16, odds of hitting this and that. Justin putting out videos every day, like, and then even some of the others, the smaller guys, in comparison to them, but had done it a lot longer than me, were putting a lot of content out almost daily. So, but the ones I just named certainly were some of the big ones. As far as just even learning just the breeding side of it initially, being my daughter was one of the biggest inspirations and reasons that we got into this. She was one of the first ones. She was the first one in the house to show an interest in breeding anything.
Nice.
We had a snake discovery had a lot of influence on us in learning about how to set up, eggs and things like that. And so,
Nice. Yeah, it's a lot of people that watch. Like, some people might not admit it, but it's a lot of people that watch Hardwick early on, at least.
come on, like,
It's a
you
lot
can say
of
what you want about the way he laughs or things that he did that were husbandry wise that might have been off or whatever. But the videos where he walked through every morph on Morph Market, and then I was sitting there doing that, right? I'm sitting there every day looking through, like, what if you put this with this? What does that look like? So running it through the search, running the calculator. So, and I just was recently telling somebody who's just starting to do exactly that. I said, go watch all these videos, go play with the calculator, see what it is that catches your eye. How do you get there? How do you make it? Like, so.
Gotcha. Do you do any Patreons?
The only Patreon that I'm a member of right now is Mutation Creation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're on one of the lower tiers. There, kind of for some of the camaraderie and stuff like that. Really, I think he offers some discounts and stuff with it. But
Yeah, I think Billy was the first Patreon that I jumped on. Like when I first started doing it, like way back in the day. But yeah, it's pretty cool. But definitely he was one of the first, if not the first Patreon that I jumped on.
he does some stuff behind the scenes on his, as you know, then if you're still in it, where he walks through things that are really beneficial if somebody's newer that I wish I had seen then. But I guess I kind of, because of the production background and trying to optimize things, kind of inherently they were natural to me. But he does that, showing how to build projects and how to optimize one male to like 3-4 females and stuff that a lot of us know how to do anyway. But he walks through that at a level that if somebody's new, you're skipping steps to get to see that knowledge.
Yeah. Like I remember he used to do like the MC Down to Business. Like I listened to those like multiple times, like multiple times, where like him and Austin would do those. So I learned a lot from those. Like Billy was one of like the first people that made me say like, damn, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go hard doing it, because like he would just get you like so pumped up and like really, you know what I'm saying, like telling you can do it, and you know what I'm saying. And so like it was cool listening to Billy. Definitely was one of the people that influenced me early on in the game. But so no other challenges, like nothing that went Nothing that didn't go as planned.
I'm not going to say nothing. There's always something that doesn't go the way you figure, and you have to learn from. Like, hey, not hitting a clutch on the ground for almost a year, from last clutch to the next clutch the following season was certainly not planned. The changes in the market have made me think about things like vending shows and stuff like that. So, there's certainly been some things, female reabsorbent or stuff like that, but we didn't have a lot of those either. So I kind of got lucky in that aspect.
That's what's up.
I don't think there's anything major that really got us really bad.
Yeah, you're just breaking up just a little bit, but I think you're good. It could have been me.
Okay.
But yeah, the changes in the market, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see like how it goes over the next few years. Like from everybody that I've heard who's been in it for like way longer than I have, like they talk about like the ups and downs, and that makes sense. I mean, that's like normal for any kind of market, especially now, given like the current economic conditions and stuff like that. And like for me, like I never got into it thinking it was going to be like some kind of overnight thing. And so for me, like it's not really changing like too much on how I was going to do it, because my mindset has always been on the long game. And over time, we're going to get to that spot to where we want it to be. So I'm going to continue, you know what I'm saying, working on my projects, just tinkering away at it, like trying to build stuff.
I guess one big thing I learned is just coming to me right now is backup males. That was something I didn't invest enough in it in the beginning, and that bit me. And then even what made me think of this is I'm calm. I'm where you are on the market, taking a little bit of a correction. I'll call it, not even a dip, because the people that have been around will say that, right? That it's just kind of going back to normal, and that it has ups and downs. But with that, one thing that I did get kind of anxious about with it being so long between clutches is with so many like kind of aggressive projects and aggressive goals, man, to not get these girls 6 months ago puts me behind exponentially in the long run, right? On those projects is kind of the only thing that stands out for me. I'm like, so I guess more females in each of the projects, right? And that's one thing that I think we all learn as we go, like, the more odds you can put in your project, right? It's just kind of common sense, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I guess when you're starting, I think most people go through that kind of like 1-to-1 pairing phase when you're first thinking about it. Like, I'll put this and this and make one of these. Start to realize I really need to take like 5, 6, 7 shots at this, maybe not even 3 or 4. Like, because if I don't get one key animal can really make the next year, like, exponentially better, right? If I hit one certain male this year, so if I give myself trying to hit a visual G-stripe clown for the first time this year, if I give myself 4 or 5 opportunities to do that, or at least to hit, something that's a step up, right? A really solid combo clown head G-stripe, something like that. That changes everything next year. Or I got to go out and those misses or the others that are close, they can be sold, or the male that was that I was using this year can potentially be sold, right, to get some money, versus if I take one shot at it and I don't get that result I'm looking for, I now not only do I only have 5 animals, 6 animals to sell from that clutch, but I got to go spend money to get the male if I want next year to be right on the plan. So, that's one struggle, was, like I said, that long legs put me a couple months behind on some stuff that like I said, it exponentially kind of scares me how much opportunity I'm missing. The second I make a double with a het or triple, what acts like a triple. If I hit the Krypton DGG stripe this year, it acts like a triple recessive.
Yeah.
The second I hit that, man, when he's up to size and he's pairing females, you're leaving triple hets on everything you make at a minimum. Your starting point is there. Yeah. So the longer I have to wait to get that, and the more commonplace, not that triple recessives will be common anytime soon, but the people said that about doubles a while back too. So the more commonplace they become too. So
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. It's like you basically working with a triple visual, just because of the ALS aspect, and like other like a complex that I work a lot with is like I guess you call it the spider complex, but like I don't work with spider, but like chocolate, blackhead, Wookie. I don't have Wookie right now, but Cypress, and like doing those and like doing ALS combos with those, like I'm gonna incorporate a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? Like where there's like compatibility and it then causing issues, obviously, but like I'm gonna work that, you know what I'm saying? And like I got some shots at hitting like a double visual with a super or ALS on top, and you know what I'm saying? Like if I can hit that animal, then bam, that's like a triple visual basically from a mathematics perspective, and like how it's going to behave genetically in a parent. And so like that's an avenue too. And so like I'm glad you said that, because yeah, I don't think that gets recognized as often as it should, but that's definitely a dope strategy. Definitely a dope strategist. So we're going on.
And I like a lot of that complex too. I'm glad you brought that up. Spot nose, I got that in a bunch of stuff now.
And I love spot nose. I probably got too much spot nose, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder about that, because I'm pairing one of my most powerful males is spot nose, and I'm putting him to a lot of my most powerful male has spot nose, and I'm putting him to a lot of stuff this year. So I did just the other night start thinking, am I going to be concerned about this in a year or two when I've got a lot of what would be cool pairings, but they might be super spot nose results and stuff like that I don't want to do. So I think I just need to, if I go this heavy this year, I need to ebb and flow that next year back off of the spot nose from the male or something like that. So I'm not limiting myself to pairings where it's on both sides later. But man, spot nose, blackhead, I put in a bunch of stuff. I did just add Wookie last year. I have one right now, but she should be my next clutch. It was a Wookie Mojave female. She was close to size. I got her in a spot with somebody local. And I paired a DG Het clown to her. So, and she's through pre-lay shed. I'm about a week or two, maybe 2 weeks, I think, from her laying. So I'm hoping with some genetic testing, I can get sitting on something that's Wookie with the double het. You know what I mean? Nice. Even in a male at that point, I'd actually be happy, because I got some opportunities to run him back quickly and try to get some more Wookie out there. But yeah,
that's going to be real dope, man. That's going to be super dope. Hey, we're going to do a quick shout out to our sponsor real quick, and we'll be right back, and we can chat it up about some other genes that you want in your collection, but we'll be right back in just a second.
Every day at Reptile Lifeline begins with a promise of quality and commitment. We carefully select our ball pythons to offer you nothing but the very best. Our quality isn't rushed, it's enjoyed, just like a moment of peace by the water. That's why we've chosen to focus on the long game, working projects such as Pied, Clown, Desert Ghost, Rainbow, and Sunset. At the end of the day, we're fired up about quality. That's the Reptile Lifeline promise.
Shout out to the homie Harry. Shout out to the sponsor, man. Really appreciate your support, brother. So what are some genes that you don't have in your collection now that you just can't wait to get into the collection?
Cypress. I do really like Cypress. I saw some nice Cypress DG stuff. I forget who, maybe Kittinger or somebody like that had some stuff when I was down. I think it was in Arlington. That really just popped. That's a really nice looking gene. Otherwise, I think I have a lot of what I want. I have in here in some form or fashion. In just some cases, I just wish I had more of it or with another het. That's not entirely true. The next project I probably would get into when I feel a little more firm in what I'm working on. Maybe if we hit a couple nice things this year, we want a little extra that I'd look to invest. I do see some opportunities for Sunset that I think are really cool that I'd like to play with. So, good timing as you put Steven's picture up there on it. But
Sunset ambassador.
I'm really interested in a couple of different things with Sunset. I see a couple of people starting to work them now, but I don't see as much of it as I'd like. There's some things I think it would work really cool with.
You want to speak on any of it?
I mean, I got a lot of G-Stripe in the collection already. I'd really like to see that because G-Stripe tends to brighten things. I'm curious about that side pattern on the name of the game for me with G-Stripe in general is getting some cool side pattern stuff back in it. You know, I don't want to necessarily destroy the stripe completely. It's a part of what I like about it. But, man, anything else you can do around it or to accentuate it, I like. And so Sunset tends to G-stripes tend to kind of be brighter and bring a lot to it. So I'm curious that Sunset side pattern on a G-stripe. I think that would look pretty cool. And then I was really curious about, and I see a couple people that are out there working it, but the Sunset Lavender looks so good. I have to imagine with the candy stuff I'm sitting on, as I look at certain aspects of that project that in certain areas, certain arenas, slowing down a little bit. Although every time I say that, I feel like then I see a whole bunch of it come back around. I feel like it picked up traction again. But I have to imagine Sunset and Candy would really look good together based on how the Sunset Lab looked. I mean, I just had to imagine Candy would look good too. So those are two that I'm willing to talk about.
Everything else, man, we're not gonna say it on the show. We'll keep it on the low.
Yeah.
So the G-Stripe clown stuff, I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about it, but like, what are some codums that you want to work into that project?
Sure. So I do want to see, and I'm almost leaning more into this is why I said I'm finding myself more and more attracted to Krypton. I was really trying to work a lot of dark genes in it. My only concern is even like a gene as dark as Blackhead. In Clown, they have like a washed out almost look. They're not true black like a Blackhead looks, right? So that's why I'm almost like I have all this really nice cryptic stuff kind of cooking in here. I'd like to see, right, like DG G-Stripe with the Krypton stuff going on with Blackhead. But Blackhead, Spot Nose, Wookie, the stuff we were talking about earlier, these are all things I want to see in it. What else? I'd love to see again some of the stuff like the Cypress really has like those dark blacks with the like white kind of borders and white highlights and stuff. I'd love to see that with like Blackhead and stuff as well. Really play on that.
Has Ozzy hit any G-Stripe clown combos with Cypress in it?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Because I know, and I shouldn't say this because I don't want somebody to beat me to it. But I know he's got a nice girl posted that she's got Cypress and she's also double hit G-Stripe clown. So I wonder if he's hit any double visuals.
Yeah, I don't know.
If somebody knows, drop it in the chat for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, are there any genes you want to stay away from in that project?
Yeah, there are some, and I don't want to knock. I always hate doing this because somebody's going to be going, "Oh, I have one in my collection," but this happens to me when somebody says the same thing. It is what it is. But there are some things that scare me off of that project, like cinnamon in particular, and the reason being is even with G-Stripe alone, it tends to wash it out, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid of that with GHI because GHI is really nice in that kind of dark realm and does a lot of pattern stuff. But I have a GHI, although she's got like 10 other things going, not 10, but like 5 other things going on. I have a GHI G-Stripe, and she's one of my only G-Stripes that doesn't have a really solid stripe. So I'm a little concerned about that. What else? A
lot of genes in that complex, like, make the G-Stripe side patterns like kind of blank, like Inchy.
I leaned out of Bell stuff, and I'm not even like a Bell complex hater. I really love Mojave, but and I had a butter G-Stripe. I had one of the cleanest stripes I've ever seen, but that's all it had. And so I feel like there's a limitation there, like butter lesser with G-Stripe, you wind up exactly like you said, no side pattern. So now if there's something that can pull that back in, like leopard, you know what I mean, or spot nose again, those are I'm excited about. Oh, Confusion Acid, those I have some stuff growing up in that. I have a pastel Confusion triple het girl, DG stripe clown girl growing up, and I have an acid het G stripe that I'm pairing this year to hopefully hit some nice combo acid G stripes with the hets now too. Nice. But stuff that I'm leaning out of, I guess that's it. I don't know. For a little while there, I was kind of writing Inchy off in that project. And then this is going to really confuse what I just said when I talked about butter or lesser. Somebody in Europe hit like an Inchy lesser G-stripe clown that had like a crazy sawtooth pattern down both sides. It was just wild. Real? Yeah, it was crazy. It made the stripe almost – so you get these like hash mark broken stripes with the Kikis, right? It had made the side solid again. Like the edges of the stripe, they weren't broken anymore. It had made it a solid stripe again, but then had the clown pattern coming down off of that. So that was really exciting.
Oh, nice. Where did you see it? Did you see it on IG or did you see it on Morph Market?
I'll dig it back up. Yeah, I saw it on IG. It was a while back, man, 6 or 9 months ago.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely got to see that.
I have it saved. But it was actually really cool looking. But
Nice. Yeah, I definitely didn't see it, but I definitely want to see it. So you don't have like any ultra male or monarch. We always had that conversation.
Nah,
You don't have either or, right? You just
nah.
got the candy stuff, right?
Yeah, and so it's not anything against any of those, but it's just the same reason I don't really have lavender. They all have their differences. They all are really nice, but they are kind of similar. So for me to work like 2 or 3 different ones,
It would make sense.
it yes and no, because some people sell stuff in both or 3 or 4, all of those really. But I have to concentrate so hard with me. Kind of the candy project's a passion project. I'm working a couple things on that, but for me, trying to go for triples, and even I have like quad heads sitting in the rack now and stuff like that. I have to be so focused. Like I cannot chase multiple different things, or I will not get there. Like,
Yeah.
so if I had more resources, I probably would play in a couple of different things. But it's your business model. Some people want like a variety of things. Some people want to sit at shows with the ability to have not just all one thing on the table, so they can sell to a lot of different people. So they always have something coming in. Me, I'm just kind of laser focused on like, you know.
Yeah, I just want to go hard in the projects that I'm working with. You feel me?
Yep.
That's what I want to do. And for me, like ultra male, that's the one that caught my eye first. I like, and I'm just speaking in terms of like ultra male and monarch. Like I like both of them, right? I think they both have their place. Like I might joke around with folks and stuff like that, but I truly like both of them. But ultra male was the one that caught my eye, and ultra male was the one like I started seeing things I like and I start investing in, and so I'm gonna just go hard in that project. I'm looking forward to like a whole bunch of ultra male clown stuff next year, hopefully.
Nice.
Going back to the backup males, like that's my one worry for next year is because I got one male for that project right now, and so like
Yeah.
if he don't go, then that'll set me back in that project unless for some reason I get a backup male along the way. But yeah, going back to the backup males, that's a spot that I want to get to like as soon as possible is to have a backup male for every project that I do. But I'm just not there yet. Like I got backup males in some projects, like my Hypo Clown project, I'm gonna be real good with backup males next year. And then DG Clown project, I'll be real good with backup males next year. But Ultra Clown project, I'm not there yet, but hopefully I get there soon. You gotta have those backup males because man, like they'll quit on you or they just won't do something. You definitely gotta have backup males. I learned that the hard way.
And you know, and when it's something that you're really dependent on, like this is going to take me up for the next year, and then that mail stops locking. Oh, now what? So I have like almost like a duplicate, slightly lower end version of like my best mail now. So I have a red stripe, yellow belly, spot nose, DGG stripe, het cryptic male is our like
nice.
big male.
Nice.
Behind him, I have a pastel DGG stripe het cryptic. So it's the same recessives. It just doesn't have the same level of combo with the incompletes and stuff like that on top, right? It's just a pastel at that point. But so if he stops locking though, and if I have a pairing to a certain clown female, like I'm trying to get black pastel really into that project. If that one male stops, I still can put the other one in there and still get black pastel into the project the way I want it. But
do you ever like start off a female with one male and then try to finish him off with another one, or finish her off with another one?
100%. So with the two that I just described, every female that the pastel, because I'm putting both those males at 5 females. Okay, every female that he's pairing, you better believe on their last lock, if the heavy hitter is still good, he's eating and still locking, I'm going to sneak him in for their last lock and hope he takes it too. 100%.
Nice.
I'm going to sneak him in. So it's just like, I'm like, it's one more lock, you know what I mean? For him across 5 females, it's the equivalent of adding maybe one more girl to his lineup. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
With the ultrasound, I'm not making that many locks and pairings anyway with a lot of these females. So, you know, I'm going to throw him, as the last one on all of them, because I'd much rather hit red stripe, spot nose, and yellow belly over pastel in those pairings. So
nice. I did that a lot this year because I got a DG het clown male, and then I also got a Inchy yellow belly leopard DG het clown male. And so at the beginning of the year, I was doing that a lot, like with DG het clown male, like starting some girls off, and then like I'll throw that other male in there, like for the last 2 pairings or so. maybe a couple times it was last one pairing. But it's funny though. It's like with animals, I mean, you never know, right? They're gonna do what they want to do. And so like that male, like the more powerful male, like he was my best breeding male in terms of eating this year. Like he's the only one that's still on food. Like right now, he's put on like close to 300 grams. Like he just been like a soldier. He goes like right in there and gets the business done. So
Yes. You love
so
the males that you put in, and you just kind of know right away, like, oh yeah, he's gonna do it. Like you could, some of you could tell, like they have like a different movement when they get in the tub. Like there's a swag. Like, other males, you put them in, they kind of just like some of them, like they lay there and just stay like curled up, and I'm like, I'm not sure this guy's doing it. Like
yeah. Yeah, I got one like that, man. He is yet to lock up with a girl. In fact, like we hadn't even had an opportunity to put him with a girl lately because he's been off food. But like, yeah, he will not lock up for nothing. Like she can be like in their tail wagging, doing all that, and he just be like, nah, I'm not with it, not today.
If the
we're gonna stick with him though.
Yeah, you got to keep trying, right? If the recessives are like you just described it, where it's the same, you know what I mean? It's just a combo of the incomplete dominance, and it's stuff that you're going to be able to identify, leopard versus, you know what I mean, like a past or something. I certainly will change it up. I was always very like, and I talked about before, like, you know, putting these limitations and saying never. I was always really careful about changing males. I was like, I never want to do this who's the daddy thing. I never want to have to guess on recessives and possibly put something out there to somebody. But what's interesting is now this genetic testing is even making me think about that. I'm like, you know, how much do I want to pay? I could still switch a male midstream if I'm okay with testing babies to make sure the recessives are what I say they are, if there's stuff that's testable. Yeah. So I haven't done any of that yet, but it's something that cropped in my mind recently. I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure this guy's getting the job done. I haven't been able to catch a confirmed lock. Whereas before I'd have been less likely to change. I'm like, I have this other male over here who I'm sure is locking. He's got leopard, so I'll know right off the bat, and the other male doesn't. I know right off the bat half the babies, if they come out with leopard, I know who was the dad. So I'll have like maybe 3 animals I'll have to go out and test to be sure that the recessives are what I think they are, to know which. But in some of those cases, you can get away with it. You'd be able to test for one, right? If your male was a DG and then you switch to like a Lav, just for example,
yeah,
man, you only have, you know, and there was, say he was a DG het, whatever, you know, possible het this. I guess what I'm saying is once you saw a het DG now in that baby, you would know that that's the male, and all your 50% and all would apply. You not
exactly.
have to do
you only got to test one.
Yeah. So if you test the one thing that you know 100%, and you know it's not in the other male, then you could rule it out. So like I said, I haven't yet, but it's certainly got it's changing things. It's got me thinking about it. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it like from that angle yet, but yeah, you can definitely do that. You just test one, and if it's hit for the thing that you're 100% about, confident in, and because you know it was a visual, then boom, there you go. So thinking about, I actually got one more thing I want to ask you before I ask you this. So you mentioned like that it was like you, your daughter, your wife. So talk about that dynamic and kind of like how y'all split up the workload, and kind of like what does y'all like routine look like?
How do we split up the workload? I mean, there's, you know, we're in a pretty good rhythm at this point. It's you know, during the week, a lot of times, my wife, she's at home. So she would hop down here. She'd do like cleanings and, you know what I mean, stuff like that. Just if girls are like in shed, she'll mark. We keep a little blue magnet that marks out there. If anybody's in shed, there's like a blue magnet we'll throw on and mark it, so we know to keep the humidity up in that tub. Otherwise, we just keep the humidity kind of ambient in a room around 50. But we'll like start doing like dump the water bowl when we're going to change, instead of dump it out, dump it in the tub with her if they're in shed. So she would do that kind of just like, you know, the day-to-day work during the week. Then like the weekend will come around. I'm the one cleaning the rats. We'll both ultrasound. We don't have a foot pedal, so it takes 2. Otherwise, you're trying to press the freeze button with your toe or something like that. So, which I know somebody in the comments that actually does that. I'll see if he outs himself or not. But I know somebody who presses the freeze button with his toe.
Pretty flexible.
But so you know, we'll do that. I don't know. I mean, as far as what other work, I mean, once you're kind of set up and like we have the husbandry pretty dialed in now, it's not a lot other than the cleanings. Like If she couldn't make it in during the day, then I would hop in here at night. You know what I mean? She'd say, hey, I didn't get down there during the day. I had to go pick up groceries. You know, Reagan had swim class or whatever, like swim lessons or whatever. I didn't make it down. And that night I'll come in after, you know, Reagan gets to bed and all and do it. On the weekends, I'll do cleanings or I'll do feedings. And Reagan, she'll tag along kind of whenever she gets in different times. There he goes with the toe.
Use the toe.
That's Randy right there. Yeah. So,
hey, you gotta post the reel and show us you using the toe.
Dedication right there. Freeze me all the time. But yeah, Reagan, she'll come and go. Like whenever she's like, she gets in the mood, she's like, oh, I'm gonna come down and help clean it. She'll get in it. She'll get in, get dirty, help clean up and all that stuff. Well, nice. Sometimes I make her. Sometimes I'm like, you ain't been down in a while. Like you're coming down today. Like you're gonna help out. Like
yeah, this is named after you. You got to come help out.
Exactly. So this was your idea. Now you got me in here working for free. What's going on? You built this in like 10 years. I just get to take it over, Dad. This is cool. She's got a racket going, man.
CEO mindset.
Exactly. So, yeah,
that's what's up.
That's what's up. All just chip in and grab different parts of it.
Yeah, it's good to have people helping out, and yeah, we tag team the ultrasounding too. Because I mean, I guess technically I could do it by myself. It's a lot more work. And it'll take a lot more time, so it's just much more efficient. How do y'all do it? Like for us, like we'll put the snake like in a pillowcase, and they tend to be like a lot more still then, and then like you just let it like run through it.
It depends on the girl. Like, and we're at kind of a rhythm. We know like who's gonna. Some of my girls they just sit there for me. They won't move. Other girls are like, I'm like, we usually what we do is we put a bag over their head. So I take a snake bag that's like for hatchlings. I got a pile of them, and I'll put that over. If the girl is real crazy, like and some of the girls who are like a little more on the fiery side, I'm like, you just know she's getting the bag. Like when she comes out, we'll put the bag on their head, so it calms them down. Like you know what I mean. So they're not like this crazy, and then we can ultrasound. But I got like a stainless like lab table over here on the side, so we'll spray that down and clean it. Throw some paper towels on it, like the doctor's office, put the girl on that, and ultrasound her right there on the table. Throw her back in the tub and put her back in.
Which ultrasound do you have?
Just the Amazon Contact.
Yeah, shout out to the Contact, man.
Exactly.
That's dope, man. It's been a lifesaver for me because like I like to see exactly where they're at, and so like it's helping train me. You know what I'm saying? Like know where girls are at certain points in their development. Like I know exactly how they're acting, and then I can look at the ultrasound and see where they are in their development. So it's helping me. I feel like it's speeding up like that learning process for me.
It was a big, when you talked about learning curve earlier, it was huge for me here because I don't have the that knowledge of like those 8, 9, 10, 20-year breeders, man. They look at their girls and they can, and even some of them use ultrasound. Don't like, do you see Justin and Billy ultrasounding? But, you know, you have that ability to kind of look at your girls and know. And for us, we got the ultrasound in the first season because I'm like, I can do that, or I can play the like, is she ovulating? Is this signs like her wrapped around the water bowl, sending pictures to all my friends game? You know what I mean? It gave me the insight. And they're like exactly like you just said very well, exactly what's going on. I just look and I know.
It would have drove me crazy, like just to not know. And so, given that there was a tool out there to do that, then hell yeah,
it was worth every penny to me. People, and I used to hear, I don't hear it as much anymore. People say like, "Oh, I don't need that yet. I'm not a big breeder." And I was like the opposite. The smaller and the more new you are, the more you need
it. yeah, I would 100% agree with that, man. 100%. It's helped me like a ton. And then like as I become a bigger breeder and like I'm running like bigger males to like more females and just knowing how to strategically use that male. I mean, even right now, you know what I'm saying? Like even at a smaller level, you know what I'm saying? Like just knowing how to strategically use that male because I know exactly where these girls are. Like, man, it's invaluable in my opinion.
100%.
Invaluable. All right, man. So thinking back in like the early years, which I know went a ton of time ago, but kind of like fast forward and now, like has this like being involved in this hobby like changed you in any kind of ways? And if so, then how?
Has it changed me? I certainly I don't know how much it's changed me. We talked earlier about kind of the sales stuff. and I guess like the kind of customer facing side has certainly given me more interaction there, which in a way has taught me kind of patience and the other side of things with people, right? I almost, it's interesting, maybe this sounds overthought, but I almost feel like I interact differently with business people and small business people now, right? That's more what I mean by small business people, or people like when you're out at a store or something like that, even like I almost feel I'm more patient with them, and I'm more like, you know what, like you kind of know what they're going through, I guess, so to speak, when you're having to deal with like customers and people getting upset over stuff that's like, this is so like not in my control right now or something like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe to a degree it's taught me that. It certainly has forced me to learn way more about social media than I probably would have otherwise. Like I would, I wasn't even on Facebook, Instagram, any of that. I had been on a many-year hiatus before this business. So it was like the first time I got back into any kind of social media in years. I mean, like 5+ maybe more years before doing this. So it's changed me a little bit in that. I don't know if that's for the better, but the social media stuff, but it's changed me there. But yeah, that's all I can really say that really stands out to me. Is like, again, like the way that I treat like even I guess, like I said, when I talk about business people, I mean like man, if you're having some yard work done, the guy who cuts your tree down, like I just feel like I handle them a slightly different way because I know what it's like a little more working for yourself, producing your own product and having to keep up with all of it, when you're like that kind of 1 to 2 man operation, even like, you know what I mean, running the show, even if you just have a handful of employees. So
gotcha. So business structure wise, how are y'all set up?
We're an LLC.
Okay.
Yep. And in New Jersey, you have to have a pet shop certificate as well to sell. So we're, I don't think they call it licensed with the state. I think it's called a permit, but we're permitted with the state and we have an LLC. Yeah.
Okay. What's the process like to get permitted? Like, is that an easy process?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward in New Jersey. I think it involved like an inventory list. Your address, you're basically giving them the right I've never seen them do it, but I think you're giving them the right to come inspect if they wanted to. But it's some pretty quick paperwork, like a 1-day process and then a waiting game for your permit to come in. So,
okay.
And then every year.
How long does it take the permit to come in?
It was a couple of weeks for the permit to show back up.
But that's not bad. Like
during COVID, there was a time where it was months. Like one year we did a renewal and I didn't see my permit back for like 6 months. And then I started and I was like, am I okay to like sell animals here? Can I get like something in writing to say that you cashed my check? So I'm assuming I'm good. Like you accepted my payment. So they actually did send me something back in writing saying you're fine under your old permit and your old receipts. Because you have receipts if you sell in the state, you have to write somebody out like a receipt where they have like there's a pink slip and a yellow slip that goes back to the state and stuff. So
gotcha.
They said you can use your old receipt, your old permit number, you're fine. But I got something in writing from them to do that because they had me really nervous.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then every year at the end of the year, you got to send them your inventory, what you sold, who all it went to. Just do a quick sheet that you have to fill in. I keep it all running in Excel all year, print it out for them. Who you sold, who it went to, anything you bought and brought in, and what your standing inventory is. How many animals you have left of what species. So, and you do that at the end of every year, and you pay your $100 or whatever it is for renewal.
Okay, you say you track all that in Excel. Do you use like any sort of like husbandry trackers, or do you like how do you track stuff?
I have Husbandry Pro. I use it mostly at this point. I use it for 2 things primarily. Tracking, the clutches and stuff like that. I can give to a customer, hatch date, exactly who the parents were, in some cases who their parents were. So I can give a little bit of some lineage information. And then the other big thing I use it for, I track feedings. I don't do like sheds and poops and all that, but I do feedings because 2 things I really like. One, the ability to generate a feeding list. They all are due on the same day to eat. So that day I print out a feeding list and it tells me I need 40 adult ASF, 30 weaned, 20 smalls and 2 or not smalls, 20 like hoppers and 2, you know what I mean? And I print that out and I go and I pull everything I would need to feed at once, bring it down here. I feed them and I mark them on. I have you can see them here, little magnets. I mark the date on all of them as they actually take it and eat. And then at the end, I can bulk scan the rack. Anybody with the new date, I post in as fed. I can see who skipped, so I can see, has it been a while? Do I need to try something different? Like, should I clean the tub or something like that? I try to see if I can get her back on food. Maybe throw a lock to her, whatever I can do. So that's it. It's mostly, like I said, just for the customer service aspect, so I can provide really detailed information to them on the pairing history, the parents and stuff, and then also just to track feedings to smooth that process out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like at first I was tracking like a whole bunch of stuff, but then as the collection grew and it was like more and more like activity and things to track, like I start progressively like tracking less based on like the data that I was like actually using, and the data that I valued the most. And so like I track, like I use Husbandry Pro as well, and so like I'm tracking like I track like every single snake that we got. I track the genetics. I'm still tagging stuff. I don't know if I don't really use the tags a bunch. So I might stop tagging, but part of me just don't want to stop tagging. So I might just continue on for a while. I don't know yet as far as like the tagging, but I track like who I got, like the snakes that I acquired from, and then I'm tracking like my pairings. I track ovulations. I track prelay sheds and like the clutches, and then convert the clutches to animals like once they hatch. And so like I track all that kind of stuff. And for the same reason, because like you can easily like communicate it to a potential buyer. You know what I'm saying? Like they got questions about the animal. All right, boom. Husbandry Pro, I got like a little report, boom, here you go. And it's got like all my information on it. So it just looked like real professional and clean. So shout out to Husbandry Pro.
Yeah, for sure. When I ship out something that's produced in-house, like a hatchling, I print out of that, and they look really nice too. A little kind of quick info sheet. It shows both parents, hatch date, and it shows I have it limited to where it shows the last 5 feedings, so they can see when it ate last. Because I always get that question like a week after, hey, when did it eat last? What did you feed it? Like, so that's all on there. And I just think it's a nice little something. When we talked earlier about customer service, it's in the box with the sticker pack, with a little handwritten card that we throw in there. You know what I mean? So there's like a nice little
extra value add.
Little something there, for you when you receive it. So you just feel like this person has it together. They're on top of things. There's details provided that I might want. And some people probably just toss it, but some might use it or might look at it and say, okay, this makes sense to me. So
yeah, absolutely, man. That shows a lot about like your professionalism. And if you're going through like doing all of that, then that says a lot about like just how you value and how you approach your business in general. Because at the end of the day, like we're not just like keeping like solid goods or like dry goods. Like these are like living animals, and so it says a lot about like how much you care about like the process and what you're doing. So it could lead someone to like just kind of like apply that to your overall mentality towards like how you operate. So that's a dope move, super dope move. So in terms of like kind of like future endeavors and stuff like that, so what are some of the next biggest things for y'all?
Next biggest things for us. Probably just more at this point. I just got to get a couple key things I'd like to see get produced this year that step it up for the next year, and then a couple of these girls come up to size the following year. So this year we got, like I said, some single visual with a single head, and then some double head stuff going, and then next year it's a step up. There's double visual. Oh, there's some double visual girls going this year too. With double visuals next year, or triple hets or quad hets going the next year, stuff like that. So, man, I think it's just more. I think that's the only real answer I have on it. I don't know if there's like a specific, like I said, there's, if there's another project I might delve into, it might be Sunset, unless something else comes out before I move on that catches my eye. But
anything new on the social media front?
I don't know. I keep tearing back and forth on even Reagan and I were talking about it this week. Like we made a YouTube channel, so we had it locked down, but we've never really gone ahead and posted anything on it. When we get more into the thick of it and there's clutches coming, we're gonna have a couple of clutches coming a month here if it starts rolling the way it's looking like. Then we thought maybe we'll go into something like that. Maybe we'll start doing some videos over there. Always have loved the idea, but it's a time constraint issue for me, really finding the time to dedicate to put the level of I am to a fault, can be a perfectionist and like obsess over things. So I really have toyed with the idea of doing getting into the podcasting a couple of times, but I don't have the time to dedicate to make it like how I really think it should look and how I would want it to be. So that prevents me from doing it. It's like letting perfection be the enemy of good, I guess. It kind of stops me from just getting started all the time, because I'm like, I wouldn't want to start till it looks like really good. So.
Man, the best, like obviously you got to do like some prep work and stuff like that, but man, just kind of getting in there, because that held me up from getting started like 6-9 months. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to start, but I kind of talked myself out of it because I felt like I had to have everything perfected like when I started, and so like I kind of like dragged my tail because I was waiting to get like this little detail right, that little detail right. So that was part of it that like led to adding like some additional time on the front end. Then I felt like I started like doubting myself. I was like, I don't know enough about like everything to be a podcaster, but I don't have to know everything. I mean, part of like what I'm doing is like asking people questions about what they know. And so like just getting through like that little stuff. And then part of it was just me like getting comfortable like with public speaking and stuff like that. Like I wasn't really comfortable in that space. And so like that was another thing that held me up, and I probably could have like got through a lot quicker, and just like getting over all those humps and just saying, screw it, just do it. And so once I did that, and just like I got some stuff prepared, like I got like the basic necessities prepared, and like maybe a little bit of something extra, and then I could just start pushing forward and like just growing, right, and just start adding a little more, adding a little more, adding a little more. So it don't got to be perfect to start out. You just build on it, and you look back, you're like, dang, because if you started perfect, like what do you work towards?
Yeah, that's fair, and it wouldn't be perfect anyway. Like when if I did kick it off, it just it gets away. And the time too, I'm afraid that I'd start up and then miss a week, and then go ahead, like be spotty with it. That's the other concern I have. And I see the consistency seems to matter. I see a lot of you guys, and that's something that it's very admirable too. You guys are out here grinding like every week doing this, man. Every week, like so much stuff seems to come up in my life. I don't know how you guys do it, that every week you can be in the same spot, man.
This is my one consistent social media posting. Like this is the one thing I really like bust my ass to be consistent with is like the show, right? So another one of the reasons, aside from like wanting to get to know people and learn more about it, so another reason, like it also keeps me honest, right? To like have a guest coming on, I've committed to this, and so like now they've got something they got skin in the game too, right? And so I definitely don't want to like ask somebody to do something on my behalf and then they commit to doing it, committing to like spending their time, because time is valuable. We all adults, like we be busy as hell, like everyone's busy as hell, like everybody I know. And so like they agree to spend some time with you, so you definitely got to honor that. I mean, definitely got to. And so like that's another thing that like helps keep me consistent. And I'm not the best at like posting like IG pictures and stuff like that. Like I should be better, but I'm not.
Yeah, I got so steady for a little while there. I was doing so good. I was every day, same time every day, like grinding out. And then I hit that low, like we talked about earlier, on the clutches, and I started getting in my own head. It's funny how like people see a certain thing and you have a certain image that we put out there, and so people like I'll talk about what exactly I mean by that, about the comments that you just made around you wondering about if you knew enough and stuff like that. But I started getting in my own head when the clutches weren't coming. Like I'm posting the same animal, and I'm like, and like here we go posting. Am I really gonna post this snake again? Everybody's seen this, and people don't have your collection memorized. They don't see your stuff. You know what I mean? So you'd be fine to post it again. But I was in my head like, there's nothing new, no new content. What am I even posting? And I really got off for a while. And Instagram made me pay for it, man. My followers like was dropping off. It wasn't. When I post something, I had stuff getting like 200 likes. I took like a little while where I backed off, posted again, and it was like 35 likes. I'm like, they're not showing myself to anybody anymore. Instagram was just like, never mind, forget him. But what I was saying about the images, it's interesting that you were like, oh, do I know enough? And then you just talked about the, hey, I really just have to ask you questions. I've talked about this. This is 100%. I mean this. I've said to more than one person, especially as I was getting ready to come on here, that you ask some of the probably the most intriguing questions I've seen.
I appreciate that, bro.
As far as the interview and getting people to talk about certain things, just tends to be a slightly different twist than some of the other questions. I like a lot of the other podcasts. I hope no one takes this personal. Everybody has their niche and their space that they're really good at on their shows. But for me, it just stood out. Like, you get people to talk about, even when you had Justin on, you had him talk about some things I had not heard him talk about. And I was like, I commented to somebody then. I remember exactly, I was watching on the plane on the way back from Arlington. I saw your Justin interview. And I said this to a friend of mine then. I said, man, this guy asks good questions, man. He really gets people just talking about something different. So I was even a little like, not apprehensive coming on here, but I was joking with a friend of mine, the one who I had said that to. I was like, man, he's going to ask me them hard questions. I mean that. Like, it's funny that you had that in your head, because, man, you do. I'm telling you, you ask some of the best questions to set people up, man. To really,
I appreciate it, bro. I really appreciate it. That means a lot, man. It means a lot. Dale said the same thing. Like, we joke like back and forth. He's like, man, Mike, you gonna ask me those hard questions, man? You put me on the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, I really enjoy it, man. I really enjoy getting to know people, learning more about it. I mean, I've learned so much, like, selfishly. I've learned like so much from people just coming on, like dropping little tidbits of information here, and there. And like, I really feel like that sped up like my learning curve a lot, you know what I'm saying? Or my learning process a lot, just by like having the chance to like just sit down and kick it with people. And I say this a lot too. I'm one of those people, like, I believe you can learn something from anybody, whether they got like a year of experience, 30 years of experience. Like, it's something to be learned from everybody. Everyone's got their strengths, everyone's got stories they can tell, unique insights, all that good stuff.
100%, man. I have almost 200 employees at the facility that I'm a manager in. Okay. I had an employee who I had kind of a bad impression of. This just happened today. This is real time. This is stream of thought. I hadn't thought about how I'm going to say this or anything, but I had an employee that I didn't have a great impression of, that just started a couple weeks ago. And I'm thinking, like, man, I don't know if this guy's going to make it. This guy's head's in the clouds. He's like kind of weird. And then I stopped and talked to him today on the way by. I saw him working. He was working hard. He was sweating. It's hot in the factory where we work. And I'm like, I stopped and talked to him for a little bit, just chat him up. How you doing? And how you getting into things? He made a suggestion today that about knocked me over. I was like, man, why didn't I think of that? Like, damn, like, this is crazy. I'm sorry, I don't know the language on the show, but seriously, I walked away and was like, why didn't I think of it? Man, I was like, this guy, I had it all wrong, man. He's like, he was like a, what do they call it, like a sleeper, man. Like, he had an idea in the tank that I was like, that's crazy. So,
that's nice, yeah, man. You can learn stuff from anybody. 100%. Like, even when people do something wrong, like, you can learn something from that just by seeing them mess up something, and you learn not to do it. Like, it's just,
absolutely. I learned a lot of things that way. I'm never doing that.
It's all about perspective. All about perspective. All right, bro. So this has been amazing, man. I really enjoyed like sitting down, chatting it up with you. I do ask some wrap-up questions, and so I do have some of those for you before we let you get out of here and enjoy the rest of the night. So the first one is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh, man. I tend to overthink and overcomplicate things, so I'm gonna try to answer this somewhat simply, but I've already now complicated it. Man, if I could live anywhere, just from the comfort aspect, and I'd love to live on an island somewhere, man. I lived in Cuba for 4 months at one point. I've been to the Bahamas, stuff like that. I mean, if I could just live on an island, I think I'd be happy. The reason I say I overcomplicate and overthink things is, man, the luxuries and stuff that we have available to us in this country, and the stuff that I have, and I'm in a heavily populated area in the Northeast with hospitals that are nearby and like all these other things, man, it's hard for me to consider moving away from that. I constantly think about, like, man, if I could move to Texas, the cost of living, I can move to the mountains and be away from everybody. But man, there's something to be said for the things that the kind of privileges and stuff, that the niceties that we have in this country. But just from a comfort level, man, an island, that's my spot. That's my weather. I'm like, put me on the beach with a drink, man.
Nice. It's interesting you mentioned Texas too, because that's one of the spots that's kind of always been on my radar as like maybe a potential spot to go one day.
For sure.
Yeah,
I threaten everybody in this household that I'm gonna move us to Texas. Like,
what part of Texas would you go to?
Man, I don't even mind like even the area kind of outside like the Arlington area. I follow a realtor that's down there, man. And they post houses every day. I'm like, yo, I sent it to everybody in that. I'm showing everybody in the house. I sent it to my wife. Like I texted to her phone. I'm like, we're moving. I bought this house. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, we're going. Like, but no, actually my company that I work for does have a facility down in that area too. So I joke with them all the time. I'm like, man, let something open up down there. Let a plant manager spot open up down there. We're going.
Backing up.
They get so mad at me, man.
Be right there for the Arlington show twice a year.
There. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, man. So the next one, if you won $10 million today or tomorrow, don't matter, how would you use it and why?
How would I use it? All right. So when I say this, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna go spend all 10 on it, but probably another house, slight upgrade, and just paid off.
Nice.
Not crazy. I'm not dropping all 10 on it. Maybe 1, 2. You know what I mean? Something in that range. I don't even know if I'd go new car. Probably from there, I'll probably invest in a couple of little things. Probably like maybe do a little bit more in this, set this up in a way that I'm really comfortable with, and then I'll probably start looking at like some other type of business ventures to get into. I don't know necessarily like franchise something even, but you know what I mean. Something that's that passive income, something that's going to work for me, right? So where I own it and I have to kind of keep tabs on it, maintain it, but I don't even want to be the one who manages it at that point. You know what I mean? Gotcha. So
just want the checks when they come.
Probably what I'd do, man. Get a nice place and then a couple things with some passive income. That's probably what I would do. And then, that passive income changes things, right? Then all of a sudden I could do like some traveling and spend a lot more family time. That's probably the next step for me, right?
Absolutely.
Own a couple things, a couple assets, like a store or something that makes money for you, and then get to spend a lot more time with the family. So,
absolutely, that's dope, man. That's real dope. And then the next one is, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
And I thought about this one like 4 different ways, man. I don't have a good answer for this. I know. Politically, some of these aren't gonna, or personality wise, some of these aren't gonna sit right with people. But you got to hear me out. These are people who, man, they have done some incredible things. So when I look at like a Bezos, when I look at like Elon Musk, like I said, I know that they're not the most palatable for everybody in terms of their personality and the way they behave and stuff. But man, like the stuff they've been able to do and accomplish. From starting in like college dorms when they started their businesses and stuff is really fascinating to me. So the ability to pick somebody's brain for that level of knowledge. So those are probably 2. I'll bring my wife with me for the 3rd. So nice. That's the right answer. And that's how I stayed married 13 years, by saying something like that. So
yes, sir. Happy wife, happy life. I think you're the first person to say that, man. So y'all, make sure y'all follow the lead, follow his good example, man. That's a good one. So what's one question you would ask Bezos or Musk or both of them?
Oh man, one question. Whew. I'll leave. I see. Okay, this is a point where this is a case where I have to do something that's not necessarily to my strong suit, but I have to kind of shut my mouth and listen more. So my question might be something to the effect of, if there was one thing you felt like that somebody needs to know to be successful, what is it? And kind of I would leave it that open-ended by design, because you know what I mean? I don't want to point which advice they would give. I mean, I'd rather hear it straight, from their take on it. So.
Gotcha. That's dope, man. That's dope. Yeah, man. I'm sure they can drop a ton of gems, man. Like, like you said, like the personalities might rub some people the wrong way, but there's no denying like what they've been able to do. You know what I mean? So yeah,
absolutely.
All right, boss. So we just passed 9:30, man. It's been amazing. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Like I said, man, time is valuable, so I really appreciate you taking some time out your day to spend it with us on the show, man, and spend it with the audience. Is there anything that you want folks to know before we get out of here for tonight? And definitely let everybody know where to follow you on social media.
We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook. Basically, just repost everything I send to Instagram, though. But if anybody's local, it's I guess another thing to look at. Anything else I want people to know? I don't know. I don't really have anything else like.
Any shout outs you want to do?
Shout outs, man. Oh man, I could shout out so many people. There's so many people that have been good to us, man. That's one thing that I'll say. People talk about, oh, I see a lot of negativity. Like this isn't people call it a community. It's not a community. It's just, I don't feel that way, man. I have been, although part of it is intentional by design and who I've associated with. When I see people that act that way, I politely, respectfully, treated them like a person, but I've kept distance. I've not made it a point to go out and seek those people out. But I feel like, man, so many people have been happy to support us and came around us. It's just been awesome. I have nothing but gratitude in that respect. And so I guess that's a nice segue into, thank you for having me on. I appreciate your time as well. Certainly it has been a great conversation. I agree.
Great, bro. Yes, sir, man. I've enjoyed it. Everybody in the chat, man, we really appreciate y'all coming through. Everybody who comes and checks out the replay, definitely appreciate you coming through. Everybody's gonna check it out on the audio version. Appreciate you coming through. We're gonna get out of here for tonight. Can you hang around for a few minutes?
Yeah.
All right, man. Everybody else, man, thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.